The UFC is always heating up. We have had lots going on over the past few weeks. From the beef with Joe Rogan and Spotify, to Israel Adesanya having some fun with his fellow fighters. So, what has been going on in the world of the UFC recently? Well, stay tuned to today's video as we are going to discuss Brendan Schaub reacts to Israel Adesanya's Valentine's Day troll job on Jon Jones' It's So Disrespectful, and some other UFC news. First up, we have Brendan Schaub reacts to Israel Adesanya's Valentine's Day troll job on Jon Jones' It's So Disrespectful. Israel Adesanya is known for being a funny guy. He doesn't pull his punches when trolling online, and people just overall love his personality. He seems just like a normal guy who loves anime and comics. He has a dedicated fan base outside of the UFC as well as for his fighting skills in the octagon. So when he started posting online just a few weeks ago, fans were laughing hard. After his most recent win during UFC 271, Israel Adesanya took to Twitter to post about Jon Jones this Valentine's Day. He tweeted a meme based around Jon Jones and his past of abusing his fiancée. The tweet was an image of wrapping gloves with the caption, "Jon Jones wrapping a Valentine's Day gift for his fiancée." Many were laughing at this dark humor joke, but others didn't see the funny in this tweet. Brendan Schaub, while admitting the tweet was funny, also thought it was disrespectful to Jones. Big Brown added that he was unsure whether the two of them, Jones versus Adesanya, would even fight unless the Last Airbender wins the 205 pounds championship. Schaub commented on his podcast, The Schaub Show, "You talk shit, you can't go back on Izzy, he's like an elephant. This Valentine's Day post is so disrespectful. It's hilarious and all is fair in love and war, but they're not even at war. I don't know if these guys ever fight each other." Now, if Izzy does beat Jerry Prochaska, if Jerry gets the title, I think this rivalry strikes back up. Since this tweet came out and their past, people really want to see a match with Jon Jones versus Israel Adesanya. What do you think about this fight? Should it happen? Let us know down in the comment section below. And now, onto some more UFC news. And now, Dana White. Joe Rogan could have worked UFC 271, calls scheduling conflict story bullshit. As we all know, right now Joe Rogan isn't seen in the best of lights. He may be one of the top podcasters in the world, but his other job is commentating for the UFC on a regular basis. Rogan is always ready to commentate on each card that the UFC produces, and he always has time for it. With the recent controversy, people were wondering what would happen with Rogan in the UFC, but it seemed like the UFC didn't want anything to do with the drama, so they let Rogan operate as usual within the UFC commentator team. This past week, we saw UFC 271 take place, and Rogan was set to appear as a commentator once again for the event, despite the controversy going on right now. Whilst many weren't happy about it, others were glad that the UFC didn't want to alter their plans because of some controversy that has nothing to do with them. Sadly, Rogan couldn't make it because of some scheduling conflicts, and he was replaced by the legendary Michael Bisping instead. After this all went down, Dana White was asked about Rogan's statement and his so-called scheduling conflicts. He said, "There's no conflict of schedule," White said. "Joe Rogan didn't work tonight. Joe Rogan could have worked tonight." Dana White went on to confirm that it was all Rogan's choice in not coming in for UFC 271. "Yeah," White said. "I don't know what Joe Rogan had to do. You guys will have to ask Joe Rogan, but there was no Joe couldn't work or anything like that. I know that came out. It's total bullshit." During the event, you could hear callouts and chants from the crowd saying "Free Rogan" and other variations of it. Clearly, fans want to see Rogan back no matter what, as they don't care about the current controversy going on. What do you think about Rogan and Dana's comments? Let us know down in the comment section below. Next up, we have Joe Rogan's podcast vanishing for a short time over a technical issue. The drama online right now regarding Joe Rogan and his deal with Spotify is still going on and hasn't been resolved in the eyes of the fans yet. People believe that Rogan's podcast should be removed because of what he talks about on the platform. Rogan is a free speaker, meaning he doesn't pull back on what he talks about and he speaks his mind on many things. Some of the things he talks about, people understand and can relate to, but other things people just can't stand by. That's all okay because he is a free speaker and it isn't hurting anybody. The issue with Rogan comes from his competition or the other news outlets. In America, news outlets like Fox or CNN are restricted in what they can and can't talk about. They aren't allowed to speak freely aside from the things that they believe in and politically align with. They really don't like Rogan because he speaks his mind on literally everything. So now that they want his podcast removed, things are getting heated up. Rogan has a deal with Spotify that is reportedly worth over $20 million. So it's not an easy thing to remove his podcast. However, a small technical issue happened just this past week where his podcast was removed from the streaming service for a short amount of time. For the brief time that his podcast wasn't on the platform, people began rejoicing, thinking that they had been answered when in reality it was just a glitch. Another crazy crazy thing is that for the time he wasn't on the platform, Spotify stocks actually dropped by about 5%. That's just crazy. Let us know down in the comments section below what you think about this Joe Rogan situation and what could have happened with that Spotify glitch. And finally we have Brock Lesnar admits he probably should have got paid more in UFC, compares working for Dana White and Vince McMahon. Brock Lesnar is probably one of the biggest names in the fighting world. From the UFC to the WWE, he has done it all and we have seen him in everything. He is well known for moving between the two sports and being a powerhouse in both. Lesnar is a money maker and he always will be. However, it doesn't seem like he got enough money from the UFC, especially with what he brings to the table. Though he only had 8 fights in his entire MMA career, he had a great following behind him and even had a great relationship with Dana White throughout it all. The conversation of money is always ongoing when it comes down to the UFC, all because many fighters believe they aren't getting paid enough. The question was asked to Lesnar in a recent interview and he had something interesting to say. Though he believes Dana White is a great guy, he thought he maybe should have been paid more. He was one of the highest paid fighters on the entire roster during his time, yet clearly he wasn't paid enough for his work and performance. Over time, we have seen Lesnar butt heads with another fighting promoter, and that is Vince McMahon from the WWE. Clearly these two didn't like one another, yet Lesnar stayed with the WWE. Lesnar commented on how different his relationship is compared between the two. To him, they are very different people and they aren't comparable. What do you think about Lesnar's recent comments? Would you want to see him fight again, or just stick with events for the WWE? Let us know down in the comments section below. And that's the end of today's video.